I'm Tara, and I'm here to bring you fellow horror fans some spine-tingling terror. Sit back and enjoy this twisted tale.
Did you ever get caught? No, never. Why, they say. I'm a deadly innocent guy. You ever get caught? Did you ever get caught? Did you ever get caught? No, never, never. Why?
Ken and Barbie might be a match made in heaven, but these Ken and Barbie Killers are a match made in hell. Let me introduce you to Paul Kenneth Bernardo, who was born in 1964 to an affluent but unhappy family in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. His father, Kenneth, ran a profitable tile and marble company, which provided for the family. Kenneth had a lengthy history of abusing women, especially Marilyn, Paul's mother. Marilyn started dating an ex-boyfriend after the birth of their first daughter and became pregnant with her son, Paul. Despite the affair, Kenneth took biological custody of Paul. Unhappy with her marriage, Marilyn went into a deep depression and unexpectedly abandoned her children, leaving Paul motherless at a young age. Paul's father, who had fondled several young girls, including his own daughter, was accused of molestation in 1975. This would trigger the cruel and sadistic behaviors that Paul took on later in his life. People who knew Paul claimed that he grew up to lead a reasonably typical and content life. He earned an accounting degree from the University of Toronto in 1986, and he started dating several girls during this time. His good looks gave him the power to seduce any girl, but despite his attractiveness, none of his relationships survived because of his aggressive sexual desires and abusive behavior. When Paul started raping young girls, Scarborough residents soon began to fear the worst. Multiple women came forward in March 1987 with allegations of abuse against a tall, adult guy with blonde hair. He gained notoriety as the Scarborough rapist throughout southern Ontario, thanks to DNA samples obtained from each victim. But when Paul later met a girl attending a high school in St. Catharines, his life would be permanently changed. Karla Homolka was her name. When the two first saw one another in a Toronto restaurant, it was love at first sight. They started having sex in Karla's hotel room in a matter of hours. Together, they would commit sex offences for the rest of their lives. Karla, a 17-year-old girl who was both beautiful and innocent, was willing to go to any lengths for Paul. They had been dating for 2 months when Paul proposed in December 1987. And before she knew it, Karla started joining in and helping her fiancé abuse other women. Nobody who knew Karla and Paul was aware of their dark secrets, which they hid very well. Karla's family approved of her fiancé and thought he'd be a wonderful husband and son-in-law. And Paul liked Karla's family too, a little too much. In 1990, he developed a morbid fascination with Tammy, Karla's youngest sister. Karla would open her sister's blinds while Paul would frequently masturbate to Tammy as she undressed. Tammy saw Paul like an older brother, even though he had dark intentions towards her. He began to focus his wild impulses on her. You see, Karla wasn't a virgin when she was with Paul, and this drove him mad. He wanted a virgin, so Tammy, a young virgin, was the ideal Christmas present for Paul. The Homolka family hosted a Christmas celebration on Christmas Eve in 1990. The couple started their attack on Tammy by inviting her to share a few drinks with them after everyone in the home had fallen asleep. Karla put sleeping tablets and tranquilizers used for animals in her sister's drink. Then, Tammy fell unconscious after Karla put a halothane-soaked cloth to her face. Paul then started raping Tammy, and you know the most twisted part? They were recording everything on camera in the family living room, and Paul even told Karla to join him in raping her sister. But Tammy started to wake up shortly after, and this is when things quickly took an unexpected turn. While lying on the carpet, Tammy started choking on her vomit. The couple took Tammy to the hospital, where they declared her dead. When questioned by law enforcement, the couple claimed that Tammy was an irresponsible teen who drank too much, which led to her death. When asked about the burns on Tammy's face, they both claimed that the wounds were just caused by carpet burn when they were trying to revive Tammy. The reason of death was concluded as being of natural causes. Karla and Paul got away with it without having to face a single consequence. The couple moved into a home together in St. Catharines a month after Tammy's funeral in 1991, but nothing changed. The two continued their sadistic behavior even after Tammy passed away. Tammy's death actually encouraged them to find more victims, particularly young virgin girls, and Karla started to worship Paul and referred to him as a king who had taken Karla as a slave during their assaults. But eventually, they got caught, and this is how. It would be their third victim that would cause major headlines in the media. The pair travelled to a local secondary school in the late afternoon of April 16, 1992, scouring the area for their next victim. Karla lured a 15-year-old student called Kristen. Then Paul used a knife to coerce Kristen into the car while she was defenseless. But after Kristen's sneaker was found in a parking area, Niagara Regional Police dispatched an abduction squad within 24 hours. The couple tormented and sodomized their victim over the course of the 3-day Easter weekend, forcing her to drink large amounts of alcohol hours before attending an Easter celebration at the Homolkas. They then videotaped the whole thing. Karla carelessly watched as Paul strangled Kristen. In Burlington, Ontario on April 30th, 1992, Kristen's naked body was horrifyingly found in a ditch. The couple chopped off Kristen's hair and cleaned up the body to make it more difficult for the police to identify the body. But Paul had been seen around, and after some investigation, Paul's composite drawing was made available to the general public. Many of his pals weren't surprised when they realized how much it resembled their very close friend. After headlines started to circulate across Canada and the US, Paul and Karla were both captured, and it didn't take them long to turn on one another. Karla testified against Paul in 1993 while being questioned by police, claiming that he had been abusive to her and had been involved in the assaults of at least 30 women throughout southern Ontario. In exchange for a reduced sentence from the police, she said that she contributed to the death of her sister Tammy Homolka and that her husband delighted in raping her younger sister. Karla was found guilty of manslaughter and given a 12-year prison term. Paul's trial for the murders of Leslie and Kristen started in 1995, during which he testified that Karla was the mastermind behind the girls' deaths. Ironically, it was the homemade videotapes that were key in each trial. Paul was given a life sentence with a 25-year parole eligibility period. He is still being held in isolation for his actions, since he is a dangerous criminal and he is unlikely to be freed. But Karla, on the other hand, was released in 2005. She has since moved and started a new life with her husband and 3 children under a new name. One of the biggest questions on my mind after learning about this case is whether it's right for Karla to have been released. Was she truly entirely manipulated by Paul? And even if she was, does naivety justify what she did? Doesn't Karla deserve to be punished the same as Paul? Comment down below what you think, and be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more